I still remember the day I got the call. It was a sunny Thursday morning. I was watering the plants outside when my son, Arjun, called me. He rarely called these days, so my heart instantly lifted. "Ma, there's something I want to tell you," he said. His voice sounded nervous, that same tone he used when he broke his mother's favorite vase at age 10. I smiled, ready to tease him. "Go on, Beta. What is it?" There was silence. Then he said softly, "I'm seeing someone. Her name's Mira." For a moment, I froze. My heart fluttered between happiness and a quiet ache. I had always dreamed of meeting the girl who would love my son, but hearing it suddenly felt strange. I smiled anyway. "That's wonderful, Arjun. When will you bring her home?" He hesitated. "Soon, Ma. Very soon." I didn't know then that soon would come sooner than I ever imagined, and not the way I expected. A week later, Arjun brought Mira home. She walked in quietly, holding a bouquet of white lilies, my favorite. Her eyes were kind, her smile polite, but there was something distant about her. She touched my feet respectfully, and I instantly liked her manners. But as the evening went on, I noticed she spoke little. Every time I asked about her family, she changed the topic. Over dinner, I said gently, "You both make a lovely pair. When's the big day?" Arjun and Mira exchanged a glance. She smiled, but her eyes flickered with unease. "Soon, Auntie," she said softly. I noticed she called me Auntie, not Ma. It shouldn't have bothered me, but it did. After they left, I sat in the empty house, staring at their used teacups. Something in my heart told me this story was going to take a turn, one I wasn't ready for. Weeks passed. Arjun became busier, harder to reach. Whenever I called, he was in a meeting or driving. Mira never called at all. I tried not to feel left out. He's grown up now, I told myself. Every bird must leave the nest. But a mother's heart doesn't listen to reason. It waits for a ring, a visit, a hug that never comes. One evening, I saw a new photo on Arjun's social media. Him and Mira at the beach, smiling, carefree. My chest tightened. He looked happy. But why didn't he tell me? I typed a comment. "Lovely photo, Beta," then deleted it. I didn't want to seem needy. I told myself he'd call soon. But the next call I got wasn't from him. It was from a friend who whispered words that left me breathless. "Did you know Arjun and Mira got married yesterday?" I froze. The phone nearly slipped from my hands. "Married? Yesterday?" I repeated. "That can't be. He would have told me." But it was true. My son, my only child, had gotten married without telling me, without even inviting me. I felt 1,000 memories rush through me. His first day of school, his graduation, the time he said, "Ma, I'll never do anything without you." And now this. That night, I sat on the edge of my bed, clutching an old photo album. Tears blurred my vision. I wasn't angry. Not yet. I was just hurt. Had I failed as a mother? Had I become that overbearing figure he wanted to avoid? I didn't sleep that night. By morning, I decided I needed to hear it from him. I called Arjun. He didn't pick up. I called again and again. Finally, he answered. His voice was flat, almost cautious. "Ma, I was going to tell you," he began. "When, Arjun?" I interrupted. "After your first anniversary." He sighed. "It just happened fast. Mira's parents, they had some conditions. We didn't want a big scene." "A scene?" I said, trembling. "You think I would cause a scene at my own son's wedding?" There was silence. Then, a whisper. "I'm sorry, Ma." Sorry. Such a small word for such a deep wound. I didn't shout. I didn't cry. I just said quietly, I hope she makes you very happy. Then I hung up, and for the first time in my life, I felt truly alone. 2 weeks later, there was a knock on my door. When I opened it, Mira stood there, holding a small box wrapped in golden paper. Namaste, Auntie, she said softly. I came to see you. My heart tightened. Come in. She sat nervously on the edge of the sofa. After a moment, she said, I know you're upset. Arjun feels terrible. We didn't mean to hurt you. Her voice trembled. For the first time, I saw not the confident girl from before, but a young woman trying to make things right. What's in the box? I asked. She smiled faintly. Something I wanted you to have. Inside was a small framed photo, Arjun and Mira, garlands around their necks, standing in a simple temple. It wasn't fancy, she said. We just wanted to start our life quietly. I stared at the photo, at their shy smiles, and somehow my anger softened. We sat together for a while. Slowly, Mira began to open up. Her father had fallen seriously ill, she explained. They didn't know how long he had left, and his only wish was to see his daughter married before he passed. So we rushed, she said quietly. We thought we'd have a proper ceremony later, with you. But that night, he went into the hospital again. We didn't even get to tell anyone. Tears filled her eyes. Suddenly, everything made sense. The secrecy, the haste, the fear. I reached for her hand. You should have told me, Beta. She nodded. I was scared you'd misunderstand. I smiled sadly. Maybe I did. But you came here. That means something. For the first time, she called me Ma. And in that moment, the wall between us began to crumble. That evening, after Mira left, I sat with my tea and thought about everything she'd said. How often do we assume the worst when love is simply trying to protect us? Maybe I'd been holding on too tightly to the image of how things should be instead of accepting how they were. When Arjun called later that night, his voice was shaky. Ma, Mira told me she came to see you. Are you angry? No, Beta, I said softly. I'm proud. He paused. You are? Yes, for choosing someone kind. There was silence. Then I heard him sniffle. I'm sorry, Ma. We'll have a ceremony soon. Just for you. I smiled. We don't need one. I've already seen the photo. For the first time in weeks, I slept peacefully. A few months passed. Then, one morning, I heard another knock on the door. When I opened it, both Arjun and Mira stood there, smiling. But this time, they weren't alone. Mira was holding a small envelope and looked nervous. Arjun slipped his arm around her. Ma, he said, we wanted to tell you something in person. Mira handed me the envelope. Inside was a black and white image. It took me a moment to realize what it was. An ultrasound photo. My heart leaped. You're having a baby. Mira nodded shyly. Yes, Ma. You're going to be a grandmother. For the first time in years, tears of pure joy filled my eyes. I hugged them both tightly, whispering, maybe you two getting married secretly wasn't such a bad idea after all. 9 months later, I stood outside the maternity ward, heart pounding, as the nurse came out with a tiny bundle. She's beautiful, the nurse said, handing her to me. I looked down at the little face, delicate, peaceful, perfect. Mira's eyes, Arjun's smile. They named her Arohi, the one who rises. As I held her, I realized something profound. Life doesn't always unfold the way we plan. Sometimes love hides behind mistakes, and forgiveness blooms in the quiet spaces between misunderstandings. Later, when Mira looked up at me and said, Ma, thank you for accepting us, I smiled. Thank you, I whispered, for teaching me how to love without expectations. And for the first time, our family felt whole again. After Arohi's birth, my house came alive again. The laughter of a baby has a magic that no song can match. Every giggle, every tiny yawn filled the empty corners of my heart. Mira stayed with me for a few weeks after the delivery while Arjun juggled work. I'd wake up early to cook her favorite soups and gently rock Arohi to sleep. One afternoon, as Mira rested, I watched her sleeping peacefully. The same girl I once doubted, now the daughter I never had. I remembered the pain of that phone call months ago, how betrayed I had felt. But looking at her now, I realized that time has a way of softening the edges of our pain. Sometimes, love doesn't come the way we expect. It arrives quietly, in the form of forgiveness, a smile, or a child's tiny heartbeat. While cleaning the house one day, I found an old, unopened envelope behind my bedside drawer. It was addressed to me in Arjun's handwriting. Curious, I opened it carefully. Inside was a short letter dated months ago. Ma, I know you'll be hurt. Please don't think we wanted to exclude you. We're marrying quickly because Mira's father is unwell. I promise to make it right later. Love, Arjun. Tears welled up as I read it. He had tried to tell me. The letter must have slipped behind the drawer when he visited. I sat there, the paper trembling in my hand, realizing how often pain grows in the space between what we say and what we mean to say. If only I'd seen this sooner, how much heartache could have been avoided. That night, I called Arjun. Beta, I said, my voice soft. I found your letter. He was silent for a moment. Then I heard him exhale. You found it, after all this time. Yes, I said. And I'm sorry, for thinking the worst. He didn't reply at first. Then his voice broke. No, Ma, I'm sorry. You deserved better than silence. Sometimes the most powerful apologies aren't in words. They're in the pauses, the trembling voices, the quiet tears that say what the heart couldn't before. That night, we both cried. Not because of what had happened, but because forgiveness finally found its way home. The following month was Diwali, our first festival together as a family of 4. I decorated the house with fresh marigolds and diyas. Mira made sweets, Arjun handled the lights, and little Arohi cooed from her cradle. As we performed the evening puja, I noticed Mira lighting an extra diya. For your husband? I teased gently. She smiled. For my father. He passed away last month. I froze. I hadn't known. Tears gathered in her eyes, glistening in the golden light. He always said he wanted to see me happy. Tonight, I think he would be. I took her hand silently. No words, no comfort could replace that loss. But sometimes presence is enough. We stood there, hand in hand, 2 women bound not by blood, but by shared love and loss. Life has a way of testing our peace just when everything seems perfect. One evening, Arjun came home late, looking worried. Ma, Mira might have to quit her job, he said. The company's relocating, and she can't manage with the baby. Mira overheard us and frowned. Why can't you adjust, Arjun? Why is it always me who has to give up something? The argument grew louder, voices sharper. I tried to intervene, but they both stormed off to different rooms. That night, I couldn't sleep. I had seen enough marriages break over small cracks that turned into walls. In the morning, I made breakfast for both, but neither spoke. The silence at the table was heavier than any fight. I realized it wasn't my place to fix their marriage, but perhaps I could remind them what love looked like. That afternoon, I called Arjun and Mira into the living room. I have something to show you, I said, pulling out an old album. It was filled with photos of me and my late husband, Rajiv, our wedding, our early struggles, the small rented flat where we started our life. Do you know, I said softly, your father once sold his watch so we could buy a second-hand refrigerator. He didn't tell me until years later. And you know what I did once? I pawned my bangles to buy him a birthday gift. They both looked at me, surprised. Marriage isn't about who sacrifices more, I continued. It's about doing it without keeping score. Silence filled the room. Mira wiped a tear. Arjun reached for her hand. Sometimes love needs reminding, not of the romance, but of the resilience that keeps it alive. The next day, Mira came into my room while I was folding Arohi's clothes. Ma, she said, hesitating, thank you for yesterday. I didn't know about your life with Papa. You've been through so much. I smiled. We all go through storms, Beta. The trick is not to forget the sunshine that comes after. She nodded, eyes soft. I used to think you didn't like me. Now I see you were just scared of losing Arjun. Her words hit me like truth wrapped in kindness. I had been scared of being replaced. But now, watching her gently cradle Arohi, I realized I hadn't lost a son. I'd gained a daughter and a future. I hugged her tightly, whispering, no more misunderstandings, She nodded, smiling through tears. Promise. Months later, when Arohi turned 1, I decided to write her a letter, something she could read when she was older. My dearest Arohi, by the time you read this, you'll know stories about your parents' wedding, how sudden it was, how your grandmother found out late. But what I hope you learn is this. Family isn't about perfection. It's about forgiveness, patience, and love that survives silence. Never hold on to anger too long, my child. It only delays the joy waiting for you on the other side. I placed the letter in a small wooden box next to a photo of us 3 generations, mother, son, and granddaughter. It was my way of leaving behind a piece of my heart and my lessons for the future. Years passed like pages turning in a book. Arohi grew into a bright, curious child. Mira and Arjun thrived, stronger than ever. But my health began to falter. One winter morning, I was hospitalized for a heart condition. The doctors were kind, but I knew my time was nearing. Arjun sat beside me, eyes filled with tears. Ma, don't say that. You'll be fine. I smiled faintly. I've had a beautiful life, Beta, and I've seen my family whole again. That's all a mother can ask for. Mira squeezed my hand. We love you, Ma, I whispered. I love you too. All of you. That night, as I drifted into sleep, I felt at peace, surrounded by love that had once felt lost, now fully found. A few years later, Arohi, now 10 years old, opened a small wooden box her parents had kept safe. Inside, she found the old letter. As she read it aloud, Mira and Arjun stood behind her, silent tears in their eyes. Never hold on to anger too long, my child. It only delays the joy waiting for you on the other side. Arohi looked up. Mama, did Grandma really find out about your wedding after it happened? Mira smiled gently. Yes, she did. And she taught us that love can survive even the hardest misunderstandings. Arohi hugged her mother tightly. Then she must have loved us very much. Yes, Mira whispered, looking at the heavens. She did. Outside, a single diya flickered on the balcony, a light that refused to die, just like the love that lived on through generations.